Welcome to another episode of Until It's Done, a devoted podcast. I'm your host, Dana Lynn Kay, and today we are talking about setbacks. I have the women from Team Loud here. Steph Ranallo is joining again, and Bailey Whitmore. And the ladies have joined. We've done a 3-part series. So if you're just joining in and you haven't heard the other 2 episodes, we did one about friends with food with Bailey, and then Steph spoke about metabolism last week. So this week we want to talk about setbacks, because a lot of times I'll get messages on, my Instagram, and they'll say like, "Oh, I just bought devotion again because I'm getting back on track. I'm getting everything I fell off and I gained weight," or I hear that a lot. And I'll be like, "Oh, I'm glad you're, feeling better, whatever, what happened?" And all kinds of things where they'll say, "Well, life got busy, life got in the way," or it can be something happened. It can be an injury, or it can be pregnancy, or it can be, or it can be, God forbid, a death in the family. Something happens, where just it takes you out. Divorce. I mean, so many things can stop people from from their life and their grind and focusing on themselves. All of a sudden it's like somebody gets sick in the family, you become a caregiver. There's lots of reasons why people have setbacks. Yeah. They go on vacation and they forget to come off. Yeah. They get home, So these are just some examples. So if any of this stuff resonates with you guys, this is what we're going to be talking about, because it's all real. We're human. It happens to the best of us. It happens to people who are pros. It happens to people who've been doing it for a long time. It's not like anybody's immune to real life happening and things happening in your life. But what happens when you do have these setbacks? How do you make your comeback? How do you maybe prevent it from happening again? Because guess what? It's going to happen again. Like, there's going to be setbacks. Stuff's going to happen in your life. We plan, God laughs. It's like, you can plan for everything to be perfect, but wrenches are going to be thrown. And like, how do you make sure you continue to stay on your lifestyle? You take care of yourself. How do you recover from when those things happen? Sometimes when it's injuries and you end up having to do physical therapy, or you can't, if it's a knee surgery. I mean, I've been there. I've been there with divorce. I've been there with pregnancies. I've been there with knee surgery. I've been there with rebounds from bodybuilding shows. Like, I have been there. I have setback, comeback. And I'll tell you what, it's exhausting. And a lot of times when people will say to me, "Why are you so diligent?" And I'm like, "Because I don't have it in me for another comeback. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm tired. I've been doing comebacks for like 20 years. And so, but every time you do, you learn more and more and more about yourself. So anyway, thank you, ladies. That's for being here. And this is the topic. I just wanted to bring everybody up to speed. But, what do you want to both share some setbacks that you've experienced?
Sure. Mine have always been related to post-dieting. Post-diet, I told you guys last week on the last podcast, I gained 60 pounds after my first bodybuilding show. And then after the second one, because I gained all that weight, I had to go back and diet again and do another show to get all that off. And I gained, another 30 after that, which it's normal to gain weight after a bodybuilding competition. But I was gaining a lot of weight. Yeah. So for me, it was always post-diet. Were my huge setbacks, where I kind of had to look at myself and see like, okay, what's going on here? And it was that perfect storm of the hard, strict dieting with my poor relationship with food, with my hunger hormones through the roof. So most of my setbacks are all post strict dieting, where I was unable to maintain that, and things took a pretty bad turn.
So in your life, do you handle stressful situations? Because so if your setbacks have mainly been from dieting, do you find though, I mean, that was from severe caloric restriction. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So how do you handle bumps in the road in life? If something's thrown at you, something happens. Yeah. I mean, we all go through breakups and like all real life things. some people handle it better than others.
Yeah.
So how do you handle those situations right now?
Yeah, I would say I'm pretty lucky. I'm very low stress, like mentally, like things don't really get to me. But I've also been lucky in that I just haven't had huge like loss in the family, those kinds of things. But I will say from that rebounding, I learned to have a home base and have an established maintenance where I know I can hang out, because maintenance is easy. Maintenance is where we live. It's where we thrive, and things are easy there. Like I don't have to do that much cardio. I don't really have to do any cardio to maintain because I've established that. So I think for me, when things do get stressful, like I'm not stressing about not doing certain things because I have such a low baseline. Like it's such a realistic baseline for me of like just eating regularly, making sure I'm still prioritizing protein, getting my water and going for a walk every day. Like as long as I'm walking every day like that, I'm pretty much good to go. And it's just from years of building up that baseline and having that home base and having myself to stay grounded in. And just having those little non-negotiables of like prioritize your protein, go for a walk. Like it doesn't have to be anything so robust that if you have to travel out of state or whatever, that your whole plan is thrown off. Like sometimes that happens if you're doing a show prep or something really strict. If you're deep in a diet, you have more variables that might fall off. But if you have like an established baseline of, where your maintenance is, where you can maintain that kind of thing, like, okay, so do that stuff when shit hits the fan. Like do the lowest amount of effort that you need to put in to maintain. And it's a low amount of effort, to be honest.
Right.
But you do have to establish that baseline. Yeah. So for me, it's just having little non-negotiables like that.
So to make sure that you already have your lifestyle set up so that if the things...
Yes. Yeah. Because life always happens.
Right.
So you always have to have... things aren't going to be perfect, but I don't have a set routine right now. Like when I'm in maintenance, I don't have a cardio goal. I don't have a macro goal. But you have the
things that you do that are part of your lifestyle.
Yeah.
So then that way you can just keep cruising and the things are being thrown at you, the stressful times, but you're knowing that like, okay, I'm not going to change the things that I always do as part of my lifestyle because I've set these up that they are part of my lifestyle. Just like brushing your teeth, taking a shower, you're not going to like stop that just because you're under stress. You're like, okay, I still have to wake up and take a shower and then I'm going to have to face life. So like the other things, because that's how I feel like I am now. It's like, okay, well then the other things I know I'm still going to do, like I'm still going to get in my water. I'm still going to do those things because I already established those as like, those are the things that I just did.
And it's the easy stuff that you establish as your non-negotiable. My non-negotiable isn't doing cardio 6 times a week. My non-negotiable is getting in a walk every day. So it's like you make it easy so that it's not impossible when shit hits the fan.
Right. Okay. Steph, what about you?
I feel like I've had a lot of setbacks. Maybe not a lot, but...
what are some examples of times that you have felt that it was hard to like focus on you? Like when you're going through things and it's like when people say I fell off.
Yeah.
It's like,
I hate that. I don't like when people say that.
Yeah. Because, I hear that all the time.
You know what I mean? And I've even said it myself. Oh, I fell off. But like, I feel like people use it too loosey-goosey. It's been like a week that you haven't done anything. Did you really fall off?
Right.
Like, did you really fall off? But also, people not understanding, like, there are chapters in your life where you have no choice but to take a back seat sometimes. Yes. And that's okay. When you have these non-negotiables. But sometimes even the non-negotiables you can't do. After plastics, I wasn't taking a walk every single day. I couldn't really move.
Yep.
For the first, I don't know, what was it, like 10 days? You're just, After I just started after bariatric surgery, so we'll exclude that. That wasn't a setback. That was the start.
That was the start.
But after plastics, that was rough. I was in my grind then, and I was made to stop, and that was really hard mentally. But a lot of people get very scared about that. I'm about to have plastics. How am I going to be out of the gym for 6 weeks? I'm like, look, after that 6 weeks, you're going to be ready to go. Like, don't worry about it. If this is a part of your lifestyle, I know it's scary looking at that in the future, but after you recover and you're allowed to get back into the gym, you're going to want to go. Like, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
I've had setbacks when after post diet, when I went through my divorce, when I moved from the north down to Florida, it was just like it was hard kind of grasping everything that was changing in my life. I was still doing what I needed to do. I was still training. I was still tracking my food. I thought that I was still doing enough, and it just, my emotions got the best of me at the end of the night, and jars of peanut butter happened in the bed.
Yeah.
And like I said, times after plastics where I didn't have a choice. You were laying, and obviously now in pregnancy, I don't have a choice.
Yeah.
I do what I can, but even what I can do is much, much lower than what I'm used to doing. And I don't have a choice about it in the matter. I just kind of do my best. So that's kind of all of my backslides, I guess. If pregnancy is a backslide.
And even if those things are backslides, it's interesting because I always think like I've been through seasons, of like, there's times when like I tore my ACL and then I had to get the rehab and then the surgery, and then you have to sit in the bed in this machine and the ice machine. And I'm just like laying there, and I saw my quad like atrophy before my eyes. I just found a picture the other day from my surgery, and I'm like, oh my, and I remember being like, oh, and like I couldn't train legs for a while, and I'm doing this stupid recovery.
But what were you doing during that? Like when you were recovering with your knee surgery? Like, were you just binge eating and not?
No, I wasn't at all. I wasn't
exactly.
binge eating. Like, so I would just be, I'm limited because I'm in bed, and my knee, and I'm going to physical therapy, and then I rode the bike the best that I could.
Right.
You can do that. It's like I was still trying to like do whatever, but was it at the level that I like to be like going at?
Right.
No. And it's like, and so a lot of times, you feel like mentally you're just like, oh, this is a setback. But is it really? Or is it just like a chapter?
A chapter, a season. And I think that is probably the biggest thing that I would like people to take out of this podcast and this exact talk is that, you're going to have setbacks and you're not going to be able to train or keep up with that lifestyle as much as you think you should. But that doesn't give you an excuse to go completely left and stop everything that you know.
Yep.
Yeah. I think we're all saying, like, do what you can.
Do what you can.
And sometimes that's if you're bedridden, if you have an injury, if you've had surgery or whatever, control your nutrition. If you can't control your movement, control your nutrition, and vice versa.
Or you don't have time to cook food because you're running around.
Yeah.
Get a meal prep service. We have that really cool thing that we have now.
Yeah.
I can't have, I hear this. I don't have any time to meal prep my food. I don't have any time to cook. And I get that because I've been there. Meal prep service. Thank you.
Right.
And take care of yourself to a point where you have an established baseline where these setbacks are not so catastrophic.
Right.
Like, take care of your body in a way that doing a little bit less activity is not catastrophic. Eating some extra calories is not catastrophic, like we talked about in our metabolism podcast. Yeah. Take care of yourself in a way where like things are not so like on one extreme end of the spectrum. Like, hang out somewhere in the middle so you can push and pull when you need to. And it's really not a big deal. Because
I feel like a lot of the times whenever we're talking about setbacks, it's a setback in our physical output, right? Mm-hmm. When we look at exercise and we look at diet, they function beautifully together, but they are separate entities.
Yes.
And we are always able to control our diet, whether we want to or not.
Yeah.
We have control over what we put in our mouth. And when that physical aspect has to take a back seat because you're either you got sick, you had surgery, you're just way too busy to do anything like this week or next week or whatever, you're traveling, then you got to control your controllables.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And so something that I find really cool is that, and what I find like so beautiful about the human body is that I have seen myself go through so many seasons, and I have always been able to make a comeback and manipulate my results and my body with my diet, my exercise, like my lifestyle, my habits, all of those things. And so now there are times when people will like have to have surgery or something will happen and they freak out as though, oh my results are gone and I'm going to lose all my muscle and I'm going to get fat. And it's like, but What do you mean? Like, and no matter what, I mean, between my pregnancies, gaining all the weight, finding out I was pregnant with twins, I'm like, oh my God, this is going to be crazy. And, you know, and it's like every time it's like, cause I had Bodie gain 70 pounds, went skiing when he was 8 months old, tore my ACL, setback, Bodie setback. Then, and then I healed from my ACL, got pregnant with twins, setback, and I was like, oh my God, is my body, and I'm like, is my body ever gonna look good again? Like, am I ever gonna look good again? And then after the twins, I was like, oh my God, plastics, like, because I had to fix my stomach. So like, it was like setback. Gallbladder surgery, setback. It was like every time I turned around, I'm like, oh my God, am I ever gonna be able to do this? But then it's like, I started realizing through each time, I'm like, yeah, I am. Like, I recovered from that and I'm going to be back in action. I'm going to recover from that. It might have felt like the hits kept coming.
Right.
But like now looking back on it, I'm like, okay, I came back like a few hundred times. Like, I'm okay.
And through all of that, you weren't ever like, I'm done. We're done here. Let's see you later.
I picture myself and my comeback. You know, those like blow up clown things that have the sand on the bottom that you punch and they just keep bouncing back. Like for a while, I was just the clown that just kept getting punched, and then I'd be like, I'm back. Punched back, I'm punched, because I was like, okay, I keep getting thrown all these life events, you know, my divorce, my parents' divorce, our boyfriend died. I had like all these freaking crazy things happen in my life every single time. I was like, what are my options here? Am I going to throw in the towel and give up? Or am I just going to keep making a comeback? Yeah. And every time I would like regroup, make a plan, figure out what my goal is.
And it might be different. It might look different every time.
Because sometimes I'm coming back from a show rebound. Sometimes I'm coming back from a pregnancy. So every time it's like, this is a different goal, different plan. What am I doing? But every single time you have to stay calm and have faith that like, okay, this too shall pass as far as whatever was thrown at me. And at the other side, it can all be fixed. It can all be, you know, even if, you know, there are things, like I said, with surgeries or pregnancy, whatever, but it's like, it's okay. Like, you have to stay calm during those times because life is going to constantly throw hammers or with wrenches or whatever. And then knowing that, so during like, say my plastics, I made sure that like I kept my protein high. Yep. I ordered meals from, one of those like Nutrisystem companies or something, because nobody was cooking for me. So I was like, okay, I need to find something. I didn't know of a new meal prep company. So I like went on an infomercial, ordered meals. I got frozen vegetables, like, cause I wasn't cooking and I had babies and I was like in so much pain, but I was like, how am I going to not fall apart? You know? And I knew nutrition was going to be a big part of it. So like making sure that, you know, even during my divorce, I remember doing cardio during my divorce, which was one of the like most painful times in my life, where I always had this lump in my throat and I was so upset. But I remember getting on cardio thinking, Dana, you sabotaging yourself right now is not going to help. Like, this is going to pass. What is going to happen when you come out of this on the other side? Because it will settle down. The kids will be okay. Are you going to gain 25 pounds? And then, okay, the divorce, everything's settled. The kids are okay. Everyone's okay. And now what? You sabotaged yourself again?
When the setback is emotional, I always tell people you have to keep yourself grounded through what you can control. And you can control your diet and you can control your activity. So when the setback is emotional, like you're saying, like, you do have to keep doing what you're doing, because you are going to come out on the other end. And like you said, you don't want to come out the other end and be like, well, look what I've done.
And I've done that before.
And like when chaos is around you, like, control what you can. And we always have control of what we're doing with ourselves.
You just don't get to give up on yourself.
No.
You just don't get to.
And that's what we would want, because some people do. Some people give up on themselves, and then you wonder what is going on with this person. And they're like, oh, I just stopped whatever. I started drinking. I had cocktails every night. I stopped exercising. I'm depressed. I'm this. I'm that.
And that like, snowballs. It really does. Like,
those are easy habits to fall into.
They're really easy.
Like a glass of wine every night is easy to get into.
It feels great. Like,
doing the easy, doing the thing that relaxes you, doing the stuff. It's like, that's all easy. Going out, like you being an emotional eater, what was easy? To go out with friends and just pig out and eat and escape into the food. I use food. I would escape into food. I get so excited to pick out all this food on the menu, and I would just be having fun with friends and eating with no cares in the world. And because I would be upset or stressed or whatever, and then that would be my release. And meanwhile, then the aftermath was added to my my stressful situation. And then I'd be like, why did I do that? You know,
for me right now, like, gosh, I do not want to walk every morning. I am pregnant as shit right now.
Yeah.
I do not want to walk. I don't want to care about my food. I definitely don't want to train. Like, I don't want to do any of this. Like, I do want to give up on myself right now because it's just easier to do that. I want to lay in my bed.
Yeah. In the end, I've laid in my bed a lot.
Well, I mean, like, in the end,
I was not.
I told Bailey,
like,
my tank is emptying quick these days, but I do know that I have energy in the morning. So when I'm not at the office seeing patients, I'm at the gym by 7:30 in the morning because I don't have energy at the end of the night. I just don't. Or my walks are in the morning because I don't have energy in the end of the night. And sometimes I miss 4 days of training right now because I am really tired. But I just kind of, I don't want to be there ever. But I do know that if it's not now, then I'm not going to get it done. And I'm going to be really angry with myself if I just stop doing everything at the end of my pregnancy. I'm just going to be angry about it.
Yeah.
Even though I really, 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 really don't want to do it.
Yeah.
I don't.
Hey, you know what? There's a time to give yourself grace. I remember at the end of my twin pregnancy, I was exhausted all the time.
That's
the belly
two.
was so, I was
That's
just
two babies.
Yeah, plus a toddler. Like,
I get it. It's a little different, but
I gave myself where there were times where, you know, if Bodie was settled and he was just playing or whatever, I would just like lay on my side of my pregnancy pillow and be like, Dana, it's okay to do nothing right now. Just do nothing. Like you're going to be, and I think soon enough, I'm going to have 2 more here. And like, I won't have the luxury to lay down on my side while my one little toddler is playing. So I was just like trying to just give myself the grace because being a perfectionist, I did feel guilty. Like, oh, Dana, you should be doing this. You should be doing that. And my brain is always telling me, you should be. Yeah. Even these days on a Sunday, it's like, it's like, why?
Yeah, it was just like what, this past weekend, you're like, I didn't do anything.
I didn't do anything
good.
Yes. But yet my guilty head was like, you should be out there, like doing your yard work. We should be going out, you know, like all the chores, all this stuff. Like there's always so much stuff to do. But like, sometimes when you're going through hard times, when I was going through my divorce, and I really, really didn't feel like doing stuff. Sometimes I was like, you know what, today's just going to be one of those days, but tomorrow can't be, but today is going to be. Yeah. And like, you have to like kind of make deals with yourself to say like, give yourself grace, because I'm also not saying push through some of these things that happen in life that people have setbacks. They are horrible and they are, you're not going to feel like doing anything or being your best or prepping food or taking a walk. You might not feel like anything. So there were days that I remember I would just sit and I would be by myself and I would cry and I'd be like, tomorrow's going to be better. But today I just have to, this is where I'm at right now. Because sometimes, with setbacks or with things, people get anxiety, you get hives. My mom said when she was losing her mother, she couldn't breathe. She had hives all over her body. Yeah, life can really stop when there are severe things happening. But to know that like, it's okay. Like it's okay. Work through all those things and then you will pick back up.
But you just said something, work through them.
Yeah.
Don't sit in them.
Right. Work through that.
So yeah, I mean, like a really hard time in life could put you down for a couple months or maybe even a year. Yeah. But if you still find yourself so blue, I can't get up, I can't move, I don't want to get out of bed, you got to work through that. And that's where, it's okay to go to therapy.
Yes.
It's okay to get professional help. If you find yourself like, I cannot mentally get myself over this hump of whatever is happening in my life, take the opportunity to crawl out of the hole and get professional help too.
And coming back, so the comeback because I've always had fun. I mean, now it's not fun anymore. The comebacks are exhausting, but I always had fun like stating my comeback. Because if there are times in your life that you don't have a choice, after my pregnancies or after, plastic surgery or knee surgery, whatever. Okay. I didn't have choices of those.
Yeah.
Okay. But like, I was like, okay, this will be fun. I'm going to have fun with this comeback. It's like, make your plan. Because a lot of people have trouble then getting out of it, coming off the blocks. It's like, you gotta get off the blocks. Like, let's go. Yeah. So some things that I used to do is it's like, I would then come up with my whole plan and I come up with a structure. And the other thing is like, say when you come out the other side, now 2 of the setbacks, I come out the other side. I now have a baby. And then I come out the other side and now I have 3 babies. So it's like, okay, life now it's going to be different.
We were just talking about this on the way up and we were like kind of just talking about what it's going to look like after I have the baby. And I was like, I already know I have to do a lot of things differently.
Yes, it's going.
But I'm getting excited for what that different lifestyle, so to speak, is going to look like. Even though I can't do anything now. Like, I'm just like hanging on. I'm hanging on by dear life now. But I was telling Bailey, like, and we talked about it before work. I'm going to try to get to like an Orange Theory fitness class to like knock it out. I've never done that before. That's going to be fun to try or fail or, be terrible at. And I probably will be. Or what we're going to do for like meal prep or like I'm freezing things, making meals and freezing them for when the baby is here postpartum and I don't want to cook and go back to work. So I like what you're saying, like get excited about what the other side is going to look like, even though the right now is not looking so hot.
And then you get excited. It's then you also have to
something to look forward to.
And you'll see, I remember Bodhi, when I first, had Bodhi and I never had it as like little baby to take care of. Now it's like I always was free to just do my stuff whenever I wanted. My schedule was mine. But then I realized like this kid, Bodhi woke up every morning at 5 a.m. screaming every morning. And I'm like, what the heck? And it's like, and then I had to start realizing like, okay, we're going to need a schedule here and he's going to need to be on a schedule and I'm going to need to be on a schedule because like we're then exhausted at the end of the day. And, so all of a sudden you start to say like, how do I make my comeback while also catering to this new life and this new thing? And it's okay. And then I had never been a morning person for working out. Not like that early. That's a lie. I mean, yeah, sure. Before college, I do my cardio, but I realized that by the end of the day with, working and taking care of my baby and all the stuff, it wasn't going to happen. So then once I got him on a schedule that he was, sleeping from 7 to 7, I was like, okay, I'll wake up at 5, but that's when I'm going to have to do my workout. And so all of a sudden, like that, he helped me create my new schedule. And I'm like, this is what my new life as a mom is going to look like. Yet when I was single and I'm living in LA and I was like doing my thing, I certainly was not waking up at 5 to do cardio if I didn't have to. Yeah. But this now new life forced me, like that's when it's going to fit in. Yeah. Yep. So it's like you kind of just get excited and then you structure your life and coming back from a setback, you always have to make plans. You always have to plan. What are you going to do to come back from your setback?
Yeah. And why did you set back? You have to learn along the way.
From that. Like, I mean, some of them, they're not really
right.
Like
I said, learn from that, but from like life events. But for me, I had to learn, why the hell did I just gain 60 pounds in over for 3 or 4 months? Right. What happened? And I had to look at that and look at what am I going to do differently this next time? So for a lot of women who are yo-yo dieting, they're just doing the same thing over and over again. They're gaining the weight and then they go back and do the same diet and then they gain the weight back and they're not examining what happened and restructuring their life because they think this is the way that needs to be. This is the amount of food that I need to eat. This is the amount of cardio that I need to do. And things might be different and you might need to plan things. I encourage everybody to plan your plan in the easiest way to hit it. Like if you need to go to Orange Theory to get your cardio done, I go to CrossFit to get my cardio done. I will not do cardio if I don't have a group around me to motivate me.
My easiest way was to put a treadmill or like in my house.
That too. If you know that, like learn from those things. Like
that's what
it takes a lot of self-awareness and self-accountability to look at yourself and see what went wrong? What could I have done better? And then actually work that into the next plan and not just keep trying to do the same thing over and over again and expect the same results. Yeah.
oh, that was a wash, whatever. No, like what happened?
Yeah, something always happened, and something can be improved, and things will look different along the way, even if it's just because you hate lifting now. Like I used to lift 6 days a week. I couldn't lift 6 days a week now. I don't know how I did it.
No, thank you.
So like now I have like more active hobbies. I have other things that keep me active so that I don't have to feel like I'm stuck in a gym 6 days a week. So sometimes if you're lifting for a while and all of a sudden you hate lifting, like that's normal. We get burnt out with things, but there are thousands and thousands of ways to stay fit, and you just have to keep pivoting and keep looking for different ways to achieve the same result.
And I have clients come to me like, I cannot spend 2 hours in the gym like some of these people. And I'm like, well, me either. So we're not 20 with zero responsibilities. And,
exactly.
Things happen. So you don't have to spend 2 hours in the gym if you don't have it.
Nope.
Hell, you don't have to spend an hour. There's so many things that you can do. But I really do think, looking back on people that I've coached over the years, and it's been quite a few, it's that they can't separate physical from diet. And that's a lot of times where the whole blow up kind of happens.
Well, I think also a real problem is that people make excuses for their situations. If you've had a setback, okay. But then, like you said, learn from it. What caused that setback, or what could we do to now make the situation easier to stay on track? So like I just said, after Bodhi was born, because we were living in New Jersey, it was really cold and dark in the morning, and the closest gym was like 20 minutes away from my house. I was like, wait, so I got to drive 20 minutes there, 20 minutes back, and be back for Bodhi to wake up at 7. That's not going to work for me. So I was like, I am going to have to purchase a piece of cardio equipment so that I wake up at 5, I'll have my coffee,
done.
I'll go upstairs, do my cardio, and then the baby's waking up and I'll be right there. I didn't have 40 minutes of drive time. So I found the solution to help me so that then when I got pregnant with my twins, with Bodhi, I gained 70 pounds. The twins, I gained 55. Why? Because I learned a lot from Bodhi's pregnant, from that. And then the same thing, by the time the twins came, I had 2 pieces of cardio equipment. I had some weights. I did P90X or whatever that thing was. And I knew that when all the babies were napping, I had my 1 o'clock. I'd run upstairs. I'd pop in a video for 30 minutes and do the little exercise or do my cardio. Like I found the ways and the pockets of time. And I knew like, this is what I'm going to have to do, because I would fail too many times where the end of the day would come and I'd be like, oh my God, I never even got in a workout. I'm too tired.
And it might not have even been what you wanted to do. Like,
no, I didn't want to do P90. I wanted to go to the gym and
that
train.
was terrible. P90X was terrible. T25. Oh, it hurt so bad.
I didn't want to do any
of
that stuff. And I didn't want to, and I wanted to go to a gym. I mean, I'd already been competing and doing bodybuilding for years before my kids, but I realized I can't. I don't have the time to drive there. But I also don't want to use that as an excuse. Like, I'm a mom now, so I don't have the time for that. I can't stand it when people are like, well, I became a mom. I don't care. Like if you can't become a mom, like you can be a mom and you can be fit and you can eat healthy and you can exercise and take care of yourself.
Outside of the box.
You just have to find a way, because I have lots of pictures of me with my double stroller, walking miles after my kids. I mean, I found a way to get in. If the babies were screaming, crying, and I couldn't do cardio, put them in the stroller and we went for a freaking long walk. Like I found a way, because I was like, I am not comfortable in this body. So we will find a way to, I'm not staying in it. I'm not staying here.
I think the other thing we can talk about is when people's jobs ramp up. I know I have clients who at certain time during the year, they have busy seasons or a travel season, X, Y, and Z. And when they first go through that, it really knocks them off because, their schedule's just all screwed up.
Yes.
So knowing that though, like you said, Bailey, every single year between June and August, I'm traveling every single week for work. Okay. What are you going to do this year to make it different from last year so that these months aren't lost and you're not gaining the weight that you were pissed about on the other end of the last year that you probably haven't even lost from last year? What are you going to do? How are you going to make it look better? I don't know the answer to that. I mean, like...
it's funny because when I used to travel for work or just travel in general, I used to think that it was so hard. It was so hard, and I'm traveling. Now it's like I've traveled. Since the beginning of the year.
Yeah,
I've probably been on 16 flights, and I still have about, I don't know. I'm going to New Jersey. I've got Texas coming up. I've got, and like I said, another week in Jersey. I've got all kinds of flights. And Jamaica. I've one trip after another, and I've been on flights almost every week. I make my loaves. I take my devotion packets. I stay in places that have gyms.
Or look for gyms in the area.
Usually the hotel I'm going to stay at, I always make sure, do they at least have a little crummy gym that has something in there? I have a membership to Peloton on my phone. Greg and I will set up the app and do yoga in our hotel room. They have all kinds of body weight stuff. I bring my headset. You can go for a jog around the area you're in. I do not let a trip throw me off. I bring my stuff with me. I carry plastic spoons. I'm always prepared because I'm I am not going to let every time I travel be another setback. I can't keep coming back from travels. And when I order in a restaurant, I know how to order now. So I'm not just, I'm on a trip, so I'm just going to keep ordering all kinds of crap. No.
And for somebody who travels as much as you do, can you imagine if you just didn't do anything at all through all of the travels?
Forget it.
So you've traveled more this year than you were actually home.
Yeah, I've been on the road so much.
So if you had no sense of structure through that travel, your year would have been looking a lot different. I don't travel that much. So when I do travel, I don't really care about going to the gym or any of that.
But if it's a constant thing, like you were saying, for somebody's career,
for somebody's career, if you're gone every single week,
you've got to know how to stay on track.
That out.
You got to stay on track. And there are times when I've been to LA or, whatever, and whether I'm prepping, whether I'm doing a photo shoot, I've called Los Angeles. I'll get a food meal prep company. I will call the hotel. They will deliver a refrigerator, mini fridge. I have it stocked in my hotel room. I take the meals with me all over wherever I'm going. If you really do care, you will find a way. I mean, I did when I was dealing with that, doing the thing for my gut because I had a messed up gut and I had to stay on. I found a place that would even juice this ginger stuff I had to drink. I mean, I was when I went to New York City, I was on a mission to be I am not letting life get in the way of what I'm trying to do on but I
because a lot of that wasn't even fun, wasn't even pleasure travel. A lot of the stuff that you're traveling, it was for work and things.
We travel for shows. I travel to visit co-packers. I go up to New Jersey for events. I do charity events. We do all kinds of stuff. And every time I'm traveling, it's for a different reason. It's not always vacation. I mean, it's not.
So that's for frequent travel. Not just, random vacations. Random vacations, I'm hey, I have.
No, and I just went on the spring break and we went to Aspen. Okay, that's my family vacation.
That was your vacation, but all the other things that you've been doing.
All the other things.
You gotta,
if I keep falling off every time, I'll never,
Yeah, Bailey travels a lot too. She's big on steps.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, steps are huge for traveling.
Yeah, I'm always walking. And when we were talking about work ramping up, I obviously work from home, and there were periods where I would be chained to my desk for 12 hours a day, but I got a stand-up desk. And I don't have a treadmill under my desk, but I would just put my noise canceling headphones on, put on music and just dance in place while I was working.
Yeah.
So I think with the meal prepping for traveling or stepping in place, people feel it might be ridiculous or it might be overkill, but it's that's what I can do today.
Yes.
And that's what I need to do to make sure that I'm not, unhappy with myself in a couple weeks. So I'm going to dance at my desk, or I'm going to, whatever, get extra steps, whether you have an under desk treadmill.
Way.
I'm huge on steps traveling though. Yes. If I'm traveling for, I think my last trip I was gone over 2 weeks and I only went to the gym twice, but I'm just walking. If my destination is within 30 minutes, I'm walking. I'm not going to go anywhere. And I for longer trips like that, you might not want to pack all your food because you're going to be gone for a long time. So I don't take food when I travel, but I know I'm eating higher calorie. So I don't need to eat 4 meals a day like I would at home or 5 meals a day. I maybe only need to have a breakfast, maybe a snack in the afternoon, and then something for dinner. And still it's not I'm going to have
queen of
fried everything. I don't like it. But I know different strokes.
But my food, is I take my bags of oatmeal because I won't spend the money on breakfast out ever.
Right. No, me neither.
So I eat my oatmeal in my hotel room and I make my devotion pudding on it and and then you can also get those little travel peanut butters. So like I can bring all that in a Ziploc and I can have all my oatmeals for 14 days if I needed to. I have all my devotion packets. I've got little peanut butters. Usually we even get those at the hotel. And then I do bake my loaves because if I'm on the airplane and they're handing out snacks, I get hungry and I get hangry. And so I'm going to eat a loaf and like I keep my meal. And then that way I'm also not starving by the time that we land. And then we get our bags and then we go to the restaurant. If I didn't eat all those things, I would be like, I don't care. I'm just going to order whatever. And that's how I used it. So I learned my lesson of like, Dana, you're bringing your food with you and you're keeping your blood sugar, you're keeping your appetite in check so that by the time we sit down, you know, because like right now, you guys saw me, I just got up, I ate a loaf. I'm like, I'm so hungry right now that if I have to wait until we eat, I will order everything on the menu. But if I just eat this right now, it will get me to when we sit down and I won't be ravenous. But that's just me. I'm a big eater.
But you learned that about yourself too. Like you paid attention.
I have to. Also, when I travel, I don't want to. Sometimes the trips are so busy that I'm like, I don't have time now to start looking for like places to get protein. Like I got to go buy oatmeal. No, I just have it all with me. I don't have to scramble and worry. I don't have to spend $10 on an oatmeal at Starbucks or whatever the heck. So I'm like, it's all with me and my plastic spoons and I make it in paper cups in the hotel room in a coffee maker. And I do it every time. And also it saves me calories on my trip because then it's like if I have like that one, usually Greg and I have like our one dinner. And then great. We order and we eat whatever we want at our dinner. We have a nice meal. And I'm like, good. And the rest of the day I had my loaf and my oatmeal and all my almonds. I travel with almonds, all of my stuff. So like, that's what's kept me on track to be able to travel. And so, you know, people who travel a lot for work, it's thinking
outside the box. I've even had clients that got really good at traveling for work over time, and they would Instacart. And Instacart, you know, groceries to their hotel room, and then, you know,
love that.
Prep up whatever they wanted to prep up, or just have like non-perishable or things like that. And I'm like, wow, you guys are smart. I don't travel that much, so I'm not that smart when it comes to that. But basically,
if it's often, you have to. If it's often,
and this one particular client I'm thinking about, she was like, I'm just kind of over my own shit when I travel, and I don't want to eat out all the time. Like it messes my belly up. Like I don't want to do it. So she got really smart with a lot of this stuff.
And like you said, you had a lighter breakfast so you guys could go out to dinner. Like sometimes you have to sacrifice extra. Like if you are like someone in consulting and you are traveling all the time and having meals out with your team and you know that you're going out to dinner every night.
And there's drinks involved and things like that.
Alcohol.
Always alcohol.
Like you're going to have to tighten up your breakfast. And it's not extreme. It's not unhealthy. Like you're getting plenty of calories at your dinner. So just manage it so that it works for you. So that not every single trip is a setback because you have to dine out with your team. And every trip
doesn't have to not be fun. Like when we go, you know, I've been to Vegas like a billion times. Every time I go to Vegas, I do the same type of thing because I always know we're going to be out late. Everyone's going to go out to eat and it's going to always be fun. And there's going to be some kind of drinks and there's going to be a late night and so it's like, instead I keep the day light with my things. And then also when you go to places like that, everything's way more expensive than it needs to be. So I'm like, why? I'll bring my own oatmeal. Like I'll bring my own stuff and then I'll just keep it light. And then the trip is still so much fun because I'm like, those are the meals I really care about. Going out at night, having fun. But like, do I care about breakfast? Or like, you know?
So, and I think it can even relate to life now in my NP job. I have drug reps bringing in snacks and lunches almost every day. Like,
oh, I'm sure.
And maybe sometimes even like a drug rep will bring in donuts in the morning and then we'll have another lunch with somebody else and they're bringing in some type of.
Oh my gosh.
There's always shit everywhere.
Yeah.
I don't need to eat.
Every time they bring it in.
Every time they bring it in, I can make sure I have my own lunch with me and just heat it up. And sometimes they give me like weird looks. I'm like, I don't want your food, bud. Like, talk to me about your product. I don't need your food every time. So I think just kind of seeing things because if I were to eat from drug reps, every time they bring it in, that probably would be a huge setback.
Oh my gosh, totally.
And also, I don't have control of that food. It's not even what I wanted. And if I'm going to eat high calorie goodness, I want to pick it from the place that I want to have it from. So I think it's important for people to know that just because things are presented to you does not mean you have to indulge every single time.
Yeah. Yeah. And then if you do have it, it's like, okay, it's okay.
Right. But if you're at work every day and someone's bringing you in like high calorie lunches every single day, you gotta.
No.
Yeah. You always have to look like big picture.
You gotta figure
how am I going to
out.
balance this out later?
Exactly. Yep.
Because I'd rather have my meal out with my friends or my man and at a place that I want rather than I just spent 2,000 calories on some shitty food that a drug rep brought in.
Exactly. So that's why. So that's a way that you don't have to look at these situations as being setbacks. You have to just find a way to make them work and to get through it. Like even somebody just wrote me about how he's a caretaker for his parents and it's hard and he's got a lot on his plate, whatever. But it's like, okay, well, if you're taking care of them, you can take care of yourself too. I mean, if you're making them meals, make yourself meals. If you're, all of these things, it's a lot of times in the beginning when a wrench is thrown, you're like thrown off.
Yeah, right.
Mm-hmm. And then you're like,
an adjustment.
Right. And then all of a sudden, if you're like, okay, this is my new, this is what I'm in right now. Okay. But like pivot a little bit, figure it out. And then, and then come back to yourself. Mm-hmm. Because if you're not taking care of yourself, I felt like if I wasn't taking care, if I wasn't a happy mom, if I wasn't taking care of myself, I wasn't happy. And my kids felt that. Mm-hmm. My kids feel it when I'm like feeling good in my own skin. Like mom's happy, not when I'm running myself into the ground, but and so I think that if your whole family is even in a stressful situation, if you can take care of yourself during that and feel like a calmness, it will even help everybody get through it.
And that might be as simple as going outside and sitting and looking at a pretty bush for 15 minutes.
Exactly.
If that's what you need at that point to just...
Yes. Have a alone time or do whatever you need.
Yeah, and try to get through it. And like I said, I think therapy and mental health is still so stigmatized. If something really took you out in your life, there are professionals to help that. And, even postpartum depression or prepartum depression or, you go through a divorce or you lose everything or, something catastrophic happens. I just hate when I see people stay in that hole. And it's
self-sabotage.
It's almost like, wake up, we can do this. Let's.
That's why I never... with a lot of the stuff that's happening in the world between the wars and like the different, attacks and things that were happening, there were, in the beginning, I was like, okay, I feel really weird posting about like fitness and eating healthy and all this stuff.
When there's so much other stuff going on, right?
But so I had a talk with one of my friends who she does like sound healing and whatever, and she was in the same predicament as me. But then I said to her, I'm like, okay, well, can we control these wars and what's going on like right now? Like what, no, but can we at least still take care of ourselves? Are we supposed to crumble? Like war is a negative thing and war does want to take people down and set people back and hurt people and all of that. So by us
feeding into it
and self-sabotaging and feeling like, oh, I shouldn't do my work. How can I be so selfish by trying to eat healthy okay, so we're actually like feeding into this negativity, this evilness of what war is. And then not in lifting other people up. I mean, my platform is supposed to always be about teaching people a healthy lifestyle, talking about healthy lifestyle. So if I stop talking, is that helping? Or is that feeding into the negative? So instead I said, you know what? I'm not going to stop. I'm not going to stop my podcast. Because that's what war wants. War wants to shut down people. War wants to bring in evil and negative and all of this. So instead, my platform is not about politics. It's not about like, I can't all of a sudden start switching gears and like coming on, but it is about reminding people, like, let's be healthy. Let's eat healthy because you can only control yourself, take care of yourself. So that was my stance on it. Cause I was like, how is it going to help me shutting down and like not bringing a positive? It's not like I was doing some like comedy routine. I don't know. I wasn't doing something like that was like off color. I was like, no, I'm posting about like being positive and a healthy lifestyle and all of that. So, I mean, even times like that, when people feel like, oh, all this awful stuff is happening in the world, it's like, okay, well, don't shut yourself down just because things are, awful things have always been happening. Like just, newsflash. The world is a really crappy place for a lot of people in a lot of places. But does that mean that everybody should just shut down trying to be positive and sharing their message or whatever? No, I don't think so. So that's how I approached it. And I didn't let it did it upset me seeing the stuff, hearing what was going on? Absolutely. But then I was like, Dana, what am I going to just sit here and not go on my walk and not do those things? Like, of course, I'm a human. I'm a mother. I felt my heart was sinking for what was going on. But by me not taking care of myself, how is that helping the situation? Mm-hmm. And then, if I don't take care of myself, then I feel awful. Then I'm not there for my family. Then it affects my children. Then it's a snowball effect. Mm-hmm. So I think if everybody just keeps doing the positive things to take care of yourself, that's what we can control.
Right.
Yeah.
Every time.
So that's the take home message is that setbacks are going to happen. Find a way, regroup.
And there's always a way. I mean, look on social media. Everybody wants to tell you about how they stay fit.
Yeah.
Pick little pieces from different people. If you like what this person says, or you like one aspect of somebody's plan and you like another aspect of somebody else's plan, like make your own, find ways. Because everybody has so many.
There's no one plan.
There should be.
There's no one right way.
There's always a way.
Do what works. Pick and choose the things that you like. Do what works and create your own. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that. It's good stuff. All right, ladies. Well, this was a good one. I think it was a good pep talk maybe for people who also are going through some stuff because
stuff is
always going to happen.
Life is going to life.
That right. Lifing. It's going to keep
lifing. It's just not going to. Yeah. It's just probably going to get harder. Honestly, life just gets.
It does because the more grown up we get, the more responsibilities we get, the more stuff we deal with, and every time we turn around, it's like something else, but. The more we just learn to roll with it and ride the waves and deal with it. That's why I stopped freaking out with all my company stuff. It's like every time I turn around, if I keep freaking out every time there's an issue or I would be a maniac. But I've learned it's like, okay, we're just going to handle one thing at a time. We'll get through it. I don't even freak out like I used to. So I'm not taking any drugs. I mean, it's just like, this is natural chill out, like I'm chill. I'm good. It's maturity. That's what it is.
That's what it is. Yeah.
Maturity. All
too tired to freak out all the time.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, you're telling me. This running program is wearing me out. Okay, well, everyone, thank you so much for joining us. Ladies, thank you for being on these episodes. This was so much fun. Yeah. You dropped so much good stuff. I'm so excited. And thank you all for joining in. And to find Steph and Bailey, we'll put all their contact stuff in the description. And of course, we're going to tag them on our reels on social media. So you'll easily be able to find these ladies on Team Loud. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining in, and we'll see you next time on Until It's Done, a Devoted podcast.